Baby.
Hey, Jim, you may notice the BMW 650 is back in here. Yeah, I love this car. But it has developed a really bad, it's had a pretty bad coolant leak. The coolant transfer pipe that runs right up the valley of the V8, it's a real pain to repair, and they're notorious for going bad in the N62 V8s. So that's what's happening, and it's just now getting to the point where my coolant bottle that I was carrying around in the trunk got promoted to the floor of the back seat, and now it's been promoted to the floor of the front seat because you have to add coolant every time you drive the car. So, gotta fix that. Gonna do it soon. But today, we're talking about the Oldsmobile. It has been a few weeks since I did a turpentine linseed oil treatment to the exterior. You can see it's a little dusty here, so I'm going to go ahead today and do a routine dry cleaning, or fairly dry cleaning, and then I'm going to retreat it with the linseed oil turpentine mixture again and see what happens. Last time, a few weeks ago when I put it on, it still took probably 2 or 3 days for it to completely dry. And it will wash off if you put water on it, and soapy water especially. So it's going to take a couple days to dry, but before I put it on again, I'm going to clean off all this dust just using a lightly dampened cloth. Now, I've driven this car about 100 miles so far, and you can see I put in a really nifty steering wheel cover. It's got an 18-inch steering wheel, and that just happens to be the same size as a semi-truck steering wheel. So I was able to get a steering wheel cover for a semi-truck, and it fit beautifully. And once I get done with the unimportant stuff like making the car nice and pretty, I'm going to take the carburetor off, and I'm going to overhaul it, installing this carburetor kit that is set up for making it so ethanol in the fuel won't eat up all the gaskets and rubber seals. So we're going to bring that carburetor up into the ethanol modern era. But first, you might remember that I put in the old radio that had been sitting, well, it looks like it's been sitting in a bucket of salt water since 1980. And one of you smart viewers, Brian Ferguson, suggested that I just print out something that looks like an AM radio dial and stick it on there to at least make it look a little bit nicer than it does all rusty. And so I got out my little P-Touch, Canon P-Touch, and just printed out that sort of AM band. So let me stick it on. Thanks again, Brian. Well, it's not perfect, but boy, it certainly is better than it was. Nice. So I'm going to clean this guy off. First thing I'm going to do is use my blower and just blow off all the dust I can. Next, I'm going to take a cotton towel, and be sure it's a retired cotton towel. You don't want to get in trouble with your wife. And I'm going to dampen the towel a little bit here. This is just water only, that's it. And I'm not putting a lot on there. I'm just going to dampen the towel enough where as I go around the car with wiping with the towel will be a little bit better at picking up dust. I don't want it wet enough where it's actually leaving moisture on the surface of the car, but maybe just damp enough to pick up some of this dust that didn't blow off very easily. All right, this is the mixture of linseed oil and turpentine, and it's, like I said, been a few weeks. You see, it's not quite as dramatic a difference as it was the first time. I posted that video a few weeks ago. I'm using rubber gloves. So that's as much as it faded after 3 weeks. I'm going to wipe this down with the cloth. That's one of the deals. You got to put it on and then wipe it clean with the cloth. It's going to look almost like it does now when I've wiped it. And then every time I do this, it will last a little bit longer. Instead of 3 weeks to get to this point, this time it'll probably take 6 weeks. And if you do it enough times, it actually builds up almost like a coat of shellac. And if you ever really want to, you can take it off with hot soapy water. But why would you? So I discovered a few interesting things. There is an identification plate right here. And if you look at the numbers, you can see the first two numbers are 51. That's the model year. So this is a 51. The next number is an 8. That means that this is a Super 88. If it's a 7, then in the 1951 model year, that means it's a Standard 88, which is more closely related to the old 76. The next one here is an M, which means that this vehicle was built in Lansing, Michigan. I'll put on screen what all the other ones mean here, and then the rest is just the serial number of the car. But this proves, the 8 here proves that this is a Super 88. What's really the difference, you may ask? Well, the real difference is the one with the 7, the Standard 88 is more closely related to the earlier 76 cars in that it has the coil spring and lever shock rear suspension. The Super 88, which thankfully my car is, has a slightly modernized rear suspension where it has long leaf springs, and it doesn't use lever shocks anymore, lever shocks. It uses cartridge shocks like we're used to seeing today. So that's the big difference. Outside, I think they look pretty much the same. Taillights might be different. Nice to know it's a Super 88 and not a Standard. I love this car. So I finished oiling up the outside. It's all good. And tomorrow, I'm going to take the carburetor off and rebuild it. Probably make a video. I'm calling her Christine now because I'm just hoping that there will be some self-correcting body repair. Like, she could start doing her own paintless dent repair on some of these door dings. I wouldn't mind. Anyway, thanks for watching.